Greetings. I want to talk to you today a little bit about what I like to call the care and feeding of a tarot deck. I'm speaking mostly about a new tarot deck. When you get a new deck, whether it's new to you, a used deck new to you, or a new deck, brand new deck out of the box. And what you want to do, maybe do with that deck, what you might want, how you might want to store the deck, etc. Um, but before I tell you how, I thought I would talk to you about why. Why? Okay. Several reasons. First of all, I think it's pretty obvious if you are somebody who trades tarot decks, particularly, or someone who came across a really nice deck that you like at a yard sale or in a secondhand shop of some kind. Previously owned deck, you're gonna want to cleanse the deck. Not that there's anything evil in the deck, not that there's anything bad in the deck. That doesn't apply that. Even if it comes from a trader, like I know if I was a trader of decks and I got it traded with somebody like who I really admire, who is a collector of decks, somebody like maybe Simon from Hermit's Cave, who I admire and respect, and I know his decks are treated with the utmost care. Um, and they have his energy all over them, which would be really a positive thing. So I might be tempted to just skip this step and not cleanse the deck, not try to cleanse the deck. But I would want to cleanse the deck because one of the things cleansing a deck does is add your own energy to that deck. Okay? We don't want that deck. That deck, maybe Simon has read it, maybe he has not. Maybe he got it from another reader or another tarot collector beforehand, not sure. We're not sure where it is. We're not sure how it was treated, what happened to it in transit from, Simon lives in England. The transit from England to California, anything can happen. So we want to make sure that anything that doesn't belong with the deck is removed. And we want to, but most importantly, the deck we are using is something we're taking in as a tool to be used for divination purposes by ourselves. We want that to be our tool. We don't want that to be somebody else's tool. We want it to have our energies. We want it to have work with us. Work with us. The energy of the deck. The deck is an inanimate object. It's not a living object, which has energy as a living, something living would, but the energies they come from reading with when you're reading the tarot are very much alive. So we want to keep that we want to keep that relationship very healthy, but we want to keep that relationship very personal between ourselves and our deck. That is what I mean by cleansing. Taking away something that is not yours and putting in something that is yours. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? It's not a matter of getting rid of negativity. Although if there was anything negative there, it would remove that. But again, whether you think there's anything negative or not, if it has not been yours and it has been somewhere else and read in another way, read by somebody else, I would definitely cleanse it. I periodically cleanse my decks that I take out of the house. I used to before COVID. I used to, in any case, I hope to again read several times a year at a psychic fair kind of situation or fundraising situations, those kind of things, where I'm reading for a lot of people in a short time. I'm reading in public areas where there's a lot of people. Those decks that are out with everybody's energy, a lot of times, I read for clients who, when I'm reading for a person with clients, I encourage them if they want to pick up a card or, look at a card. I'll hand them a card from the reading. They don't actually pick up a card normally, but I will hand them a card from the table if they want to get a closer look at the card. I will do that. I don't have any problem with them putting their touching the cards. That's a personal choice, of course. I don't have a problem with that. But their energies then in my deck. And if I get too many energies that are not mine on my deck, I probably want to cleanse. How do I cleanse? I cleanse on my altar. I cleanse with the full moon. I cleanse, There's many different ways you can cleanse. You can clean a deck by putting it in a bag and like a plastic bag and burying it in salt, which is very cleansing. I prefer smoke cleansing from like sage or some kind of smoke cleansing. Or yes, moon energy. I like to use moon energy. I also keep the cards that I take out in my tarot box. I think I've shared before, my traveling box that I take decks out for out reading outside of the home. I keep a clear quartz crystal with that deck in the box. Or if I carry them in a bag, there's a clear quartz crystal in the bag with them, which will cleanse the deck, keep it clean. I use that between readings as well to clear the deck a little bit. I tap on the deck, top of the deck with a, this is not a clear quartz, but with it, I will just, you know, here's a box, the deck was in it, and I'll just, tap on the deck, and I'll lay the, on the cards itself, not on the box. But if the cards are out of the deck, I will tap on the deck and have it lay on my table this way. Clear quartz, if I use a quartz, I will have to then cleanse those crystals. Again, in the same way, putting them out, I usually use the energy of the full moon to cleanse crystals. This is a rose quartz, so this needs to be cleansed from time to time. Citrine is one of the quartz crystals that does not need to be cleansed. It's self-cleansing, they sort of call it. So that would be a good choice if you didn't want to do that. You could use the citrine. Anyway, keeping the crystal with your deck is a good thing. Way to go. Um, uh, Also, now what about a new deck? Let's talk about a new deck. What if you have a new deck? And which is the case today, and I'm going to be showing you in a few minutes. I'm going to be taking my deck, and it's the Shadowland Tarot that you saw, the Shadowland Tarot that I've been working with just a little bit, and I'm going to tell you why I've waited this long. But I'm going to cleanse the deck now, and I'm going to bind this deck to me, tie it to me, make it mine. And that's what I'm going to show you today, how I do that. And I'm going to tell you why I'm doing it, okay? But anyway, that's the deck I'm going to be using. Now, why haven't I done it before now? Well, why I haven't done it before now is because I've been getting to, this is a deck never used by anybody else, so it didn't really need cleansed for me to use it. I didn't need to remove anything from it. It came from a box. It came from Amazon, from my friend that shows up on my porch every day with another Amazon delivery. He brought this Shadowland to me, I believe. I think, unless it was a gift. But at any rate, it still came by the Amazon man. But it's never been read by anybody else, just me. But I've had it for a little while now, and I've been reading with it a little while. You've even seen me do some readings with it on here on my channel. But why I haven't bound it to me yet? I haven't bound to me. Well, I was getting to know it first. I like to get to know a deck first. Not all of my decks I will bind to me. I have some decks that in this house that I don't use very often. They are not bound to me. They are here, and if I want to get them out and use them, I will. If I want to read with them, I will get them out and I will reacquaint myself with them. I'll have them become reacquainted with me. Why do I mean by that? I shuffle them a lot. I carry them around. I look at them. I get the cards out and I look at them. And I just become familiar with the deck again, just like it was brand new. And when I feel like I know it, and when I feel like it knows me, then I will use it for reading. If I want to use it for a long period of time, I will bind the deck to me. If I want to use it for any reason, if I want to use it to read for clients, I will bind the deck to me to make sure I get a really, really accurate, good reading. If I'm just doing it for fun and reading for fun and reading for just a daily exercise or whatever, I won't always do that. Okay. That has to be something personal to you. That has to be something a decision that is yours. But there are some decks that I might not even use again, that I might even not even keep. So I'm not going to go to the trouble of binding a deck. But what is the reason for me to bind a deck? Well, I think you've heard right here again on this channel my sad story about how I did lose a tarot deck. And I didn't lose just any tarot deck. I lost my Wildwood tarot deck. I do not know how that is even possible. I do not know how it is possible. But we have been looking for this deck for months and months, and we cannot find it. And I am so afraid that it accidentally was thrown out. We've been doing a lot of clearing out of this house. Some things that were left over, boxes that were left over of, you know, parents, deceased parents and things like that. And all business things from the business we used to have. And I don't know if the deck, if it could possibly that have happened. I'm not sure. I haven't given up. It's still possible. It's here somewhere, and I'm just not seeing it. So I haven't given up. But like the whole process of this losing a deck that was one of my most cherished possessions breaks my heart. And I have to say, I did not have that deck bound to me. I was so excited when I got it, and when I resonated with the deck, that I just hurried up and I used it. Didn't go through the steps of binding. I did cleanse and do those things, but I didn't bind it in any way. So I didn't make it mine. And what that means is now that I can't locate it, I'm having trouble locating it because it's not mine. Do you understand? I don't know that concept, if you understand the concept, because I'm not being very clear. I'm not describing it very clearly. But I think if something is mine and has a connection to me, if it is lost, I will be attracted to look in the right place for it. Somehow. I just do believe that. So, I did not take that step. And so now it's just a guess. It's a stab in the dark looking for it. I have about as much luck as finding it as a stranger would have finding it coming into my house, because there's no connection with me that way. There's a subtle connection, and some of you might try to correct me and say, oh, just because you used it and loved it, there was a connection. But for me, it's not strong enough for me to locate it. I believe if I was bound to it, I would be able to find it. I would have been able to find it long ago. So anyway, I'm going to bind. I have found that the Shadowland, I've determined that the Shadowland is something that I will definitely, I really love this deck. So I'm going to show you. It's a very, very short ritual that I use to bind a deck to myself. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And then I'm going to put this back where it lives. You might have seen a few, maybe last week or something, I put up a video that I made a new bag for this deck. And that is going to be placed in this bag for safekeeping, and that's where it's going to live when I'm not reading it. So that's what I hope to share with you today, okay? Now, before I get to this deck, I do want to say that I can show you something with another deck that I have out. You've seen me use this deck before. This is the Santa Muerte deck, the Book of the Dead. Which I love this deck, but I only really use this in preparation at this time of the year, coming just out to Samhain. The month of October pretty much is when I use it, because it's just a book that speaks connection. It's all about connecting with the ancestors. I don't think I have the book in here with me because I was looking at it. But anyway, this deck, I'm familiar with it. I've never bound it to me. I only use it in the month of October, and I do keep it on my shelf in here in a very safe place, and I keep it in the box that it came in, which is a really nice box, right? So I don't have, there's no reason I have to make a special bag for it or anything, so I don't do that. But one thing I'm going to do is I'm spending some time cleansing this deck and getting the deck for me to be reading. And you'll know why, because coming up in October, I'm going to be doing some special things that I'm going to be announcing tomorrow for you. But one of the things is I'm going to be using this deck for the month. I'm going to be using the Santa Muerte deck. So it has been a year since I've used it, right? So I'm getting it out and I'm cleansing and I'm reacquainting myself with the deck. in the same way that I would have acquainted myself with it in the first place. When I first met it, when I first received it. I have been handling the deck. I keep it with me wherever I go around the house, where I'm going to be sitting for a while, so that I will get it out and I will shuffle, or I will get it out and handle, or I'll just get it out and I will, look through all the cards. Now, if you have a used deck and you're doing that, or a deck that you really haven't seen in a long time, and you get it out in preparation for reading, one of the first things you're going to want to do, is make sure all the cards are there. You need to count. Do you have 78 cards? If you're supposed to have 78, do you? Some people will go as far as to reorder their deck at that time. I don't reorder my decks, but if I was going to ever reorder my decks, put them back in order, I would reorder them. And I wasn't doing it for class. I've had to do it for class. And, I teach classes. I do use them ordered for certain things. But it's only certain decks that I will reorder. I don't ever reorder some of my decks, ever. But if I had to reorder a deck ever, it would be at the time of cleansing. If I was going to re-cleanse it, I would reorder it then. Just to make sure. Some people like to start out. The reason I don't reorder is because I really am a firm believer. I have do a Google here, or not a Google, but do a search here on YouTube for especially in the magicians forum, people that do, like us, close, what do they call it? The small, small, sleight of hand tricks and dealing and things like that, and card tricks, all kinds of card tricks that do special shuffling. There are some phenomenal channels that teach you when you shuffle, how to shuffle to do tricks, and they just talk about the basic principles of shuffling, and they tell you statistically, they tell you how many times it takes a deck that is in order at all to become random. How long it takes that deck to show up random once it's been ordered. And if you watch any of those videos, if I found one and I thought about it, I would maybe link it to this. I'll try to link it maybe to this channel. This video, but I'm telling you, you wouldn't order your decks. If you wanted accurate readings, you would stop this nonsense about reordering your decks all the time, because it is so hard to get them random. So hard to get them random. So what I do is, I go for one reading the next, but I just keep shuffling. I just shuffle in between, keep shuffling, so that I'm not in one reading is not influenced by the reading before. And I use a crystal or something to clear it in between. And I put a whole new intention into the new shuffle. It's all about your intention. It's all about what are you asking the cards to show you. Okay. Give your cards a chance to be accurate. If you reorder your decks, they're going to have a hell of a time. Your deck's going to have a hell of a time showing you what you need to see, because the cards just... Did you ever play cards, card games with your family or anything? You can tell when somebody hasn't shuffled the deck, and people go, who shuffled this? Because all the cards are, like, especially if you play a game where you're ordering cards together, like Uno. Think of Uno, where, everything's green, 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 or whatever. The deck has not been shuffled well, or something like, crazy eights. Give me all your eights, give me all your sevens. If they're still together in those things, the deck hasn't been shuffled properly. It takes a lot of shuffling to get it random. So I don't reorder mine. But this is a case I might want to do it. But then just keep in mind that you're going to have a lot of shuffling to do later. Okay. Well, for me, this one, I will spend a lot of time with it, and I will look, because if I haven't seen this deck in a year, I'm looking at these cards and I'm saying, yeah, what is it about these cards? What is it about these cards that is unique to this deck? The meanings, because, I love to have that. Look at the differences in what the artist's interpretation was for each of these decks. If you're somebody who just reads the Six of Pentacles always as the Six of Pentacles without any variance at all, that doesn't apply to you. But what is the, I'm having to turn every card, because none of them are upside down, and I'm reading them and they're all upside down because I have the whole deck upside down. Just looking at What is different on these cards? For instance, one thing that's interesting about this deck I just recalled is all of the aces in the minor arcana are represented in with butterflies. You might not see that too well, but you know, which is really, that's something unique to this deck. And what does a butterfly and tell us? What message do we get from a butterfly? Right? That's that whole idea of transformation, right? Becoming something new, something that you were not. The beginning of a whole new adventure, a whole new something. See, here's the wands. Here's a butterfly for wands. They're really lovely. So that's something that's unique about this deck. So I'm just looking through, and I'm going to look through, and then I might just do a couple of like 3 cards readings, just simple, real casual. Nothing that I don't mean anything, nothing that I'm going to, nothing that I'm going to, you know, put any stock in. Because it's still new. It's still new in the relationship at that point. Even though I might have used these for years, every time I get them out, every October when I get them out, it's a new relationship. It's the beginning of a new relationship. Okay, so so I will put them on I will keep these on my altar. I try to put them on my altar when I can. When there's a full moon, I'll put them out in the full moon. I will pass through. I might do the cleansing that I did when I do it, but not normally. I don't normally, unless there's a reason for me to smudge this deck. I don't really do that. I think the moon is sufficient cleansing, and the crystals maybe is sufficient. Then I don't do anything else. But then again, we have to be aware of how we then store. What do I do to keep these cards? Where do I keep these cards when I'm not reading them? I'm going to keep them right back in the box. I'm going to keep them right back in the bag. I'm not going to leave them laying out where they can be, you know, damaged or misplaced or whatever. I'm going to respect them. If you do not respect your cards, they're not going to respect you. You're not going to get a reading that is that you can respect. Okay. Now, other than that, I'm just going to do a small binding the deck. Like I said, I wouldn't bind these decks, but I will work really hard at trying to become familiar with this deck before I go to read it. And you're going to see, I'm going to start reading beginning next week. I'm going to do some sample readings for you here on the channel this month, for the month. So if you're somebody looking forward to that, I should have one up a week. Hopefully have one every week in October for you. But for today, I'm going to go back to the Shadowland Tarot. And the Shadowland, I'm going to show you my fast little ritual. Right straight to the point, getting right straight to the point of a very simple ritual that I do to bind my deck to me. Okay. I have like a mini altar set up here on my table so that you can see what I'm going to be doing to bind my Shadowland Tarot deck to me. I have representing the east, I have for air. In the east here I have incense burning. I'm not sure if you can see that it's burning, but it is very much burning. In the south, I have a candle burning, a little votive. I hope they burn. I have a ceiling fan on because it's very, very warm today. Close to maybe 100 degrees. I'm in another heat wave. So the fan is staying on. I have in the west, representing water. I have water. This is moon water that I gathered. It was rainwater, actually, that I gathered and charged it under the moon, full moon. I've got a rosemary sprig here which is in flower. I don't know if you can see how pretty that is. That's gorgeous. It's so pretty. My rosemary is all flowering right now. Tiny little purple flowers. It smells wonderful. Okay. So I have that. And then representing, in the north here, representing the earth, I have a pentacle. Okay. So, very simple process. Here's my Shadowland Tarot in the middle, which has been sitting on our main altar for several days. And I'm going to take my deck in hand, and I'm going to take a black cord. This is just simple. This is the same kind of cord that I used to make the tarot bag out of, the cotton cording. Just going to unwind it. Okay. And I'm going to take my deck, hold it in hand, in the middle of the altar here, and I'm going to just wrap it. Just wrap the cord around the deck. And as I wrap, I will say, this tarot is mine. Consecrated to my use, bound by the thread that ties it to me. I charge that no unwanted influence holds sway over these cards by air, by fire, by water, and by earth. Setting them on the pentacle. Now, the cards have been consecrated. At this point, you may say anything that you wish. If you want to do a ritual like this for your own cards, you may ask that the cards, sometimes I have said something in here to the effect of, may I use my eyes to see the cards clearly? May I use my mind to understand the message clearly the cards are giving me? May I use my lips to speak clearly what the cards wish me to say to the querent? May I use my heart to know and understand and hold close to me the message that the cards are giving me? It can be something like that. It could be something very specific, something very general. This is the time that you would do whatever you want. Make this ritual your own. Okay. And then simply what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bag. This is the bag that I made. Remember I made this bag? Okay. And the first thing that I'm going to need to do is take the cord, remove the cord that I used to tie around the cards from the deck. Putting the deck back on the pentacle for right now. And I'm just going to I'm going to fold this in half just so it shortens it up a little bit. And I'm going to take a little crochet hook, the hook that I used, and I'm going to go to the inner flap. You can go anywhere inside. I recommend that you do it inside. I'm going to move my water out of the way right now so I can do this. I recommend you go somewhere inside. You can do it completely inside. You can do it on the back. But I like to have the cord hidden, somewhat hidden. And I just take my crochet hook and I fold and pull through and even up the cord enough. I'm just going to pull that a little too far there. Wait a minute, let me do that again. That's very clumsy. I'm trying to look at myself on the camera and trying to look at myself, what you're seeing and what I'm seeing, and I just need to pay attention to what I'm seeing because I can't really help what you're seeing. The cord in half, I'm going to make it in, do it again, fold it again so that it's in fourths because I don't want too terribly long of a cord. That looks fine. And I'm just going to take this cord, pull it through my bag, pull one end through, secure it, and then I'm just going to tie a bow. Just hold it, okay? Not very neat, is it? And then I take my deck, simple enough, which has been bound to me, cleaned, and then I'm going to put it in my bag. Okay? Okay, let me move this. There, snuff that out. Just want to get these out of the way because I don't want to burn myself, and I want to show you something else. Okay, this deck, see how nice this bag fits my deck? And I made one longer, so I just take the one that's long over and meet the other one on the side. And there I can tie. Okay? How nice that is. All right, so that is ready to go in my, it can either go back on the altar for overnight if you want, or it can just, I'm just going to put that in my basket. It's going to be fine. I wanted to show you what you can do if you do not have your cards in a bag. This is how I do some of my decks. This is simply one of my grandmother's old handkerchiefs. She always had a handkerchief up on her sleeve, and I just have such good memories of her. And after she passed, I found, I don't know, in my mother's things or something, I found this box that had a lot of her old handkerchiefs in there. So I saved them for a long time, not knowing what to do with them, and then I realized they were really a good size for wrapping a lot of my decks. So this is how I keep some of my decks, just wrapped in the handkerchief. And I'm going to show you what I do when I did this. You might see there's a telltale, there's a clue right there. This deck is, you guessed it, another one of my favorite decks. This is I forget what it's called. The Tarot of the Enchanted Forest, is that what it's called? Or Enchanted Forest Tarot, I'm not sure. I always get the name wrong. I really apologize for that, but I have quite a few videos on here. And what I've done for this deck is, right in this, after I bound it, I just used a big needle like we used when I finished sewing this bag, a big eye needle, and I just took the thread, you can see, that I used to bind the deck here, and then I just tied a bow. I have these long threads, it kind of needs to be done, but it's okay. It can just be curled up any old way. That just secures it to the cloth, to the wrapping. So if you didn't have a handkerchief, you could use a nice piece of whatever fabric you like. But I like the handkerchiefs because they fit so nicely. Again, they're a natural fabric, and I'll show you how I wrap it. I get it nice and tight here, and then I center it. I take one flap and I put it over, and I get it nice and snug against the cards, and then I wrap until I get to the end. How many times? Here I have an end. Here I hold the end down, and I take the ends, and I just tie a little bow. Or a half bow, whatever's easiest to do. And it makes a nice little package. It just keeps a nice package, as good as anything. Okay, so that's one way. And the third way is if I happen to have a box. Very simple. This is the box that I keep my hoi polloi deck in. I can show you. How do you show a box? Okay, and opening the box, and it's a nice lined box. I don't know where I got this, but it's really nice. And then I have inside my box, my deck is in a little silk bag. Here's my hoi polloi. This is my hoi polloi that I've had since college, that I love so much. It's a knockoff of the Rider-Waite. And I keep it out on my table all the time. So it's double protected inside this little black silk bag that I made for it. Um, Not necessary. But since it's here all the time and it's right here by the window, and I just feel much safer that it's in the bag. Plus, look what's in the bottom. Can you see what's in the bottom of the box? There it is. There's the cord that I used to bind it to me. And I keep it in the bottom of the box, deck in the bag on top, on my table. Simple as that. Simple as that. So there you have it. There's my deck. All tied up in its new bag, snug as a bug in a rug. All protected, all cleansed and protected and bound. Bound to me. Not sure if you do any of what you do, anything I do, or nothing of what I do. Agree with me or disagree, you do you and I'll do me. But I know some of you were curious and have asked me in the past, because I sometimes mention in passing about binding a deck or cleansing a deck or something like that. So I thought I would explain. Just take a few minutes and explain it to you. So if it doesn't mean anything to you, move along. Move along. It's fine. Okay. Anyway, that's it for today. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot of me soon. Tune in tomorrow and you'll know why. As always, I am Rebecca and I wish you many, many blessings.